Okay, hello and welcome back to the Programming Bootcamp. My name is Gabor Szabo from the Code Maven website, and with me is Nóra. Hi Nóra.
Hi. Hello.
We're really glad that we are back, and I hope that you enjoyed your exercises. And
I did.
we are going to go over the ones that you managed to do so far, and we'll check what you did, and I would like to review a little bit your code because I believe that one of the best ways to learn is to do some exercise, do some project, and then get some feedback from other people to see how they understand your code and how you could improve that code. I think it's even better than just seeing the best example or whatever the solution for some problem. Okay, so let me share the screen now. Okay, wrong button. Here. Okay, so just a reminder that this is the link to the Code Maven website, and I jumped over to the slides where we have the exercises. Actually, in case someone did mastermind exercise, in the meantime, I noticed that it needs more advanced tools that we haven't learned yet. So if you manage to do it, great. If you haven't, don't worry. I'll push it forward to a later chapter. So this was, I think this was the first exercise, print all the locations in a string.
Yes.
Okay, so I'll actually, so this was just the exercise. I stopped sharing, and then you can, wait a second. Yeah, I stopped sharing, and then you can share yours so we can see that exercise. Okay.
Right. Okay. Now you can see my screen, right?
Right. I can see your screen. I'll try to move it. Yeah. Okay. I guess it's okay.
Right. So for this exercise, I did 3 different solutions. This one was the simplest, where I was just looking.
Can you just sorry? Can you a little bit enlarge the fonts?
I don't know how to do that, but yes, I'll try.
If you Control Shift Plus maybe helps. I'm not sure.
Control.
Yeah. No, this just did whatever you did. It's working.
Okay.
Oh, great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Right. Can you see it well now?
Yeah. Now it's very
okay.
better. Yeah.
Right. So with this one, I simply just wanted to see the individual characters, and I didn't want to do it with the index function that we learned before. So I just used this variable location and increased it with every time there was a character in there. So yeah, this was it. This was the first one.
Okay, so a few comments here, or one comment. So online, so for a couple of things that might be improved. So 9.9, for example, instead of writing log equal to log plus 1, you could write log plus equal 1.
Like this?
Right.
Right.
Yeah, and one thing, okay, even before that, I wanted to say something, but I think you've already saved it because we talked about it before the video. But generally, it's a good idea before we do this to save your original file.
Yeah.
And if we already knew how to use version control, that would be really, really simple. Now, this time you just have to copy it to some other place.
Yeah, I did a separate folder now for the corrections.
Yeah, so, but I mentioned that that's one of the places where version control is really great. You can do these experiments, and then if you don't like what we just did, then you can get back really easily and without spreading all kind of versions of your file around your computer. Yeah. Okay, and the other thing is that in line 10, both line 10 and line 11, you put after the colon, you put the content of whatever is, and this works. And I don't know how much people like it. I sort of, for me, it's a little bit strange that it's in one line. I personally, I think I prefer both of them being on a separate line. It
like
makes
that?
Code. Yeah. I'm not sure how it is seen by other people, but that's just one. It might be just my personal preference. Okay,
it might be clearer this way.
I think so, but yeah.
Right.
Okay.
And then I did the same using the index function now.
Okay.
Again, then I'll put this down here. Yeah, it's basically the same thing again, but without changing without an extra variable.
Wait a second. What was this exercise? I think I forgot.
To find all of the characters in a string.
The same character. Same one single character.
One single character
in different places.
In different places.
So how would this work? It goes over all the characters.
It goes over all the characters, and if
and it goes over again all the characters.
Yes.
No, sorry. If character in text
is in if the character is in the string,
yeah,
then it goes over them and prints that character if it's at one point.
And does it really print the different versions? I'm surprised that it is actually.
Okay, now I'm not too sure about this one. The previous one definitely worked. I'm sure about that. Okay. I can try and.
I think because you called the text index again and again, so I guess it will show the same location, the first location several times. So yes. If you have the same character twice, it will.
Oh show... yeah, sure. Sorry, I didn't change with this one. So with the other one, wait now.
So this one you have your own index and you're going over one by one. So whenever you encounter a character in some location, that's the index, that's the location. That's good. The other one, I think, in this one, I think what happens is that you go over each character. So line 7, you go over each character in the text.
Yeah.
And if the character equals to whatever you're looking for, which is in the char,
yes.
Then you decide, okay, now ask the index to look for it from the beginning.
Right.
And so when you encounter the letter, let's say X, it will start from the beginning of the text and then find the first X. And then you encounter again the X, it will again start from the beginning of the text and look for the location.
Right. I don't know how, because I checked all of them, right, to see if they run well. I think I did with this one too, but I can do that again.
Can you show how to run this here?
I run it in the Anaconda prompt.
Okay.
Do you want me to show that?
If you can, that's okay. It's not that important, I think, in the end. If it's easy for you, then let's do it.
Okay. I'll just put it on the screen. Just a second. Right. I should enlarge this one as well, but
yeah, on the top left side, on the top left corner, you can click there and then.
Yeah, sorry, it's in Hungarian. Huh? Yes. Okay. This should do, right?
Okay. Thanks.
Is this view visible properly?
Right there, yeah. Thank you.
Okay. So what's the name of this one? This should be, this should be it.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's not good. Sorry.
No, it's Python.
Yeah. Right. Sorry. This is the one. Okay, so whatever was the sentence,
so
was it?
AXBX, AXBX, just, and look for A.
Look for A, not for X.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so it only finds the first one, right?
So it finds the first one, but twice.
Yes.
Okay. So I'll show the solution, okay? Because that sort of builds on this one more or less.
Yeah.
But in a different way. One more comment here. Your file names had spaces in there.
Yeah.
It sort of works, and it puts automatically quotes around it. I think it's much better to not have spaces.
Right.
So if you have separate words, then we usually put underscore between them.
Okay.
That's in some locations the spaces make life more difficult.
Right. Okay.
These file names. So let me take over the screen share. Actually, now how do I share this? Okay. So we are here, right? You're seeing my screen, if I'm not mistaken. So let me get to the actual solution. So here is one of the solutions that I had is that I have this location -1. It's quite similar to what you had, I think.
Yeah.
And then I say, as long as, just start looping, okay? Because I don't know how many times I'm going to find it. So I don't want to go over all the characters by myself. I wanted to use the find function or the index function, doesn't really matter, but the find function just doesn't throw an exception. So that's easier. So I don't want to go myself over character by character because that's probably a lot slower than the find function. And also there is a tool for this to search for something. So the text find will find me the location of C, and this is a little bit a jump here that I need to start from some place. Okay, and that was what missing from your solution, and that's the like in the standard way people usually start with this to find the character without telling where to start from, and the default is to start from 0. But here, when we encounter the first element, which gets into this location variable, then we have to start, when you start searching again, we have to start searching from the next character, the next place. So it's location +1.
Right.
Okay.
Actually, in the next, so I did three solutions. In the next solution, which is a bit different, I use this.
Okay. Thing. I'll go over this one and then you show that one.
Okay.
Okay. So this is the location +1, and then usually people have issues with, okay, the first one should start with find without the parameter, and then the rest because it starts from the beginning, and then the subsequent calls need to have some starting point. But that means two separate calls to find, and it's easier to have one call. And then telling to start it from the location 0. But in order to log +1 to be 0, so to start from the beginning of the string, we have to start and put location -1 in here, which is a little bit strange. So this solution it is a little bit strange with this location -1, but that's what it works. And then if the location is -1 again, then we break out, because this function, the find function, we know that it will return -1 if it can't find the substring. Okay. Right. So we know that we get the new location, and if the new location is -1, that actually means that we couldn't find any more, so we just leave the loop. That's what we call the stop condition of the loop. Okay, and here I just print out the log. Any questions here?
No.
No. Okay. The other solution that I think is a little bit nicer, it's a slightly longer, is that I have a variable that says where to start the loop to search for, and I put it 0 in it, and I always start from that variable where it's called start, and I get the location into a variable called loc. And again, I do the same, so I break out if it's -1, but then I increase this, so I set the start to be location +1. So it's basically the same solution, but here I have this extra variable called start that hopefully makes this solution clearer to read.
Right.
Okay, so let's switch back to your solution, and then we go to the next exercise.
Right. So this was the third example that I did, so third solution, where I was not only looking.
Oh, sorry, I didn't realize that you have a third one.
No, sorry, it's fine. It's just it's a bit different because I was looking for not only characters but substrings as well. Okay. And here I actually use this find and location +1
Okay.
command that you just did in your solution.
Okay. So here too. So here, I seem, yeah, it seems that it's okay as much as I can see. The one thing here is that now you're repeating the call to text find. So the whole thing is you have twice. One in the once in the condition, once inside.
Right.
And the solution I showed you is this true, is the one true, eliminates that. So you only have one place where you need to check this.
Right.
Okay. And basically now you're running the same find call twice on every iteration.
Right. So that makes it slower, I suppose.
Well, yeah, it's twice as slow. It's usually that's not a big issue, but it's just like unclear why to do it. And in some cases, I mean, in some cases you can't do the same thing twice, right? Because you ruin something with every time you make changes. Every time you make something. In this case, you're just looking for something, so it doesn't make changes. But sometimes you can't actually call the function twice and get the same result.
Right.
Because it, I don't know, reduces something or changes something in behind the scenes. Okay. Good. Let's go for the next one.
Okay. I don't know which was exactly the next one. Maybe the number guessing game?
I think so. Yeah, we can go to the number guessing.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I had a little bit of fun with that one. I kind of created like a thriller, I don't know, psycho program with many comments. So it became a bit long and messy, but
that's how programming is, long and messy.
But here it is. This is the level 1.
Okay. So let me try to read it and then comment while I'm reading. Yes. Okay, that's probably the I don't know, the better way. So okay, so you have the, I mean, you can't see when I'm pointing here, right?
No.
Okay, so let me just say it in words. So okay, you guess. So one thing that I see immediately that probably even my solution has this same issue, but now I noticed it. It's much easier to see in other people's solution to problems.
Right.
Is that you mentioned the number 20 and 21 in several locations.
Yes.
And so if you would like to change your program to be in the range from 1 and 200 now, then you have to make sure that you change it in every location.
Right.
Okay, and it's an issue people forget at least one place and so on. So the recommended solution here is to have a variable outside.
Right.
It's even usually we call it a constant, or we set it as a constant, but it doesn't really matter. It's a variable, n equals to or top range or some name. Okay.
Should that be included in the function itself?
Probably no. Probably you can put it in. Probably is the best to put it in on line number 2 and just put it to the name a name and the value 20. And then when you put in the line 4, then it's the then variable name +1. So even that one is already calculated, already dependent on this one.
And then it should be n +1, right?
Right. Yeah. Now it's usually it's better to have it as a capital letter. So that's sort of the accepted way to say something that's not going to change. Usually a capital letter. Right. And then there are also places in the comments, for example, in line 12.
Line 12, yes.
Yeah, so the easiest way here is just to put a curly brace.
Curly brace, yes.
An N inside, and at the beginning to put an F. So
at the beginning of...
Yeah, before the quotation, put an F. This is called an F string, and I should have, I mean, we saw it for a second.
Yeah.
On part, but this will embed the value of N into that string.
Right.
Okay, and you could do the same with the lower limit as well. It's, let's say, not that important because it's right. It seems that it's going to be always 1, but but you could do that as well if you really wanted. Okay. Anyway, so that's one thing, and then so the computer thinks about a number. That's not line 4. Print it out so just we can see it. That's okay. Number 6, line 6, you ask. Oh,
that's just the game part.
Okay, you just introduce yourself. Okay. Name. You're asking what's the name of the user.
Yeah, but now here I can again use the curly braces, right?
Yes, yes. You could do the same, and then it's gonna be. Yeah.
Right, and with an F here.
Right. Yeah, if you don't put the F, then you will just see the curly braces and the word name.
Yes.
And then it's easy then to notice that, oh, I forgot the F. That I do often. Okay, and then you ask the user if yes or no, okay, and the game, and if yes, in the game, okay. So this is a good idea of asking the user of yes or no, but in my experience, people can't type yes or no.
Yeah, I kind of counted on that here.
Yeah. Okay, that's nice. People, but one thing here is that people will quite likely type in yes without the capitalization.
Yes.
And then you might want to accept that yes as a yes.
Okay.
Because it's sort of okay, and you might also want to accept just the letter Y. That's already. So how would you go ahead if you wanted to accept yes in other capitalization as well?
I suppose I would either put an or here with all the in the if statement with all the possible things that I want to accept, or make the condition, for instance, a capital with all capital letters, and then make a comment here to turn the input into all capitals.
Yeah.
Or
a comment
like that.
No, a comment. Okay, sorry. Yeah, so you can say game dot to upper. So in line 10, you don't even have to change the variable game. So in that line, you say game dot to upper, and then you can. No. On the right. Actually, you're checking in. So okay, that's another issue. So now, if someone says yes, but not today, you will still go ahead and play.
Right.
So you probably want to check equality.
Right.
Okay.
So like that.
Yes, and then you can put game dot, and I don't know if Atom offers. No, Atom doesn't offer to upper, I think.
To upper.
Yeah, and
like
then
that.
And the parentheses. Yeah, and then now you check it if it's equal to the capital. So yes, now it needs to be capitalized. All the three letters, capital letters.
Right.
On the left hand side. Because now it's going to be...
Right.
Yeah, okay.
But then it's, wasn't it just upper?
Right. I don't even remember anymore. Okay, so that's when you need to look it up on the slide, or actually, well, you're on it, but other like PyCharm, for example, will offer you the right method there.
Right. Yeah, Atom does that sometimes, but I don't really know when are those times. So what's the difference when it offers?
Let's try it. If you delete until the dot, and then you start trying U again.
Oh, all right. Okay, so
maybe that will. So dot. And
no, it doesn't.
No, if you type in U, no. Okay.
It doesn't. Here it started something. Yeah, it does this. Okay. But that's super, yeah.
I'm not sure if it does what Atom actually does. Okay. Anyway, way too much into going into how editor works. Okay, and then you ask the user to
guess.
Okay, to guess. Okay, and then you check. Okay, and then you check if it's a decimal, and if it's false, then you ask the user to guess again. Okay, yes. So that's another thing that I really recommend, not to ask the user twice the same thing. So it's you use different text here, so that's a whole different story and how to deal with that. but sort of why do you specialize this case when the user doesn't type in a number and not like I think below there on line 19 and 20 you again check if it's the number falls in the range.
Yeah.
And it's I don't know if it's equally bad from the user if they're typing in just a random letter or a number outside of the range. But sort of, I think that they should trigger the same behavior.
Right.
So you are responding slightly differently from when the user makes some really, really bad choice, like typing in some letter or just typing in a number outside of the range, which is maybe not that bad a choice, but it's depending on your point of view. So my recommendation at this point is to try to change the game, and we won't do it right now, but I think, so in a way that you will have only one input, one place where you get the input from the user. Because again, okay, so now you actually can have a bug here, because if the user types in a letter X, whatever, yes. And then you say, okay, so it's not a decimal, so let me ask again. Mm-hmm. What if the user types in another letter now? Okay, so the user can still be confused and type in something which is incorrect. Okay, right. And now you're not checking it anymore. So it's probably better to check it to get the input from one place, and then you check it, and if it's not the right answer, then just go back to the beginning of the whole thing.
Right. So I should include this in the loop.
Yes. I think.
Right, but then I can't use this condition for the loop. I need to use the true, while true. Right.
Yes. So this is one of the locations, I think, in general games where you would just say while true, and then inside you would put in all these conditions. Right. So you would even the line number 12 would be inside the loop.
Right. Okay.
Because on every iteration, do you want to make it? Okay, well, we can go ahead and try to do it.
So this whole thing would go in everything, right? Right.
This will actually solve some other problem that you mentioned me before the video we recorded.
Yes. And then, but I'll need to have a condition for.
Or for the equality.
Yes. How was it?
If equal, if guess equals to number, right?
Yes. Number. Then what do I do? Oh, this was my message right here, and then break.
Right, and then leave the loop, right. Yeah, and here you have also, here you get again, guess again. So no, you don't need that anymore.
This guess again is for each, if it is not, if it's between, if it's not in the range, or if it's not, if, you know.
Right, but what happens now that you go back to the beginning of line 15, so we'll ask you again anyway.
Yes.
So now you ask.
Well, actually, that's why I didn't put this in the first time.
Okay.
So I'll take this out of the first guess,
so,
but.
Okay, so
it's just because I wanted to give a different message.
Okay, fine. Just make the indentation correct.
Right.
Yeah. So that's a reason to have two places to get input, because you really would like to have the message before, and that might be a good point. Okay. Okay. So now it looks better. And what else? Yeah, it's. So now in this case, okay. So now, what happens if the user, if it's false, if there is decimal? So first of all, you usually don't write something equals to false or equal to true. We just write if not, and then the guess is decimal. So that's a better way to write it.
Okay.
So instead of writing equals to false, just type in not, and then you can remove the equal. But now, if and well, it was earlier as well. So if you get okay, we don't need to ask the user again here. Well, that's an issue. Yeah, well, because now you ask the user again here and at the bottom as well.
No, here, oh, right, it's an input. Then I just say print. And now it's fine.
Yeah, well, except
oh no, that's not good. That's not good.
Except then you still go on and ask all the other issues or try to compare the numbers. So I'm not sure if that's the right way to do it.
Right.
I mean, you can have it for now. You can leave it as an asking. Okay, so one thing would be is that to put the others in an else block, and all the others would be inside an else block.
Right.
I don't really like it. I much better like when you have a decision and then done, and then you go back to the beginning of the loop. Because otherwise I have to read over all this else part and try to figure out what. It's much better when you have you short, I don't know what's the right word for it, but you have a loop and then inside the loop you ask some condition, and if this condition is met, then you continue or break. And then I don't have to think, okay, so if this condition happens, what else are you going to do? Because I know that this is done, we are done here.
Right.
So, but for that to work, you actually have to ask this guess at the beginning of the loop. So I'm not sure how to solve this with the extra text. Well, I actually have an idea now of having the input only at the beginning of the while loop, and then we're having some condition changing the if. I mean, it could also be changing the actual text,
right.
Or having a condition and based on that asking what is on line number 35, asking on line 15, but only if it's not the first time, because the first time you already asked it. So there could be all kinds of ways. What here I would do right now, I probably, just to make it fixed for now, is to copy the line 35 into 17 as well. So I also asked there, and then continue, continue.
So line, where? Line 15?
Seven after 17. So you complain, you ask the user for the new number, and then you continue, continue. So it will be checked for being decimal or not again.
Right.
Because you don't want to just accept the new guess without checking of it being a decimal number or not.
Yes.
Okay. And then actually then you don't need the elif on line 21. You can start with if. Because if the first if statement is true, then you'll just continue.
Yeah.
We go back to the beginning, and if it's false, then we can start all the rest. Okay, good. Next step. I mean,
the rest is good, right?
The rest is this is the main and the interesting part where improvements can be made.
Right. So this was the level 2 where we had to say, all right, the x. So if there is an x, so if the input is x, then you quit the whole thing. I didn't exit here because then again at the end I wanted to print a message.
Okay.
So I just returned from the function itself.
Right. Yeah, and I think you mentioned something of having to do twice something.
Yeah, so here I already
Okay.
wrote while true, because if I had it the other way than the previous one was, then I would have to do this do this decimal bit twice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So actually, this whole while true, this solves this problem as well. That's I mean, you already found it when you were doing it, that you it's better to do this. You say. Okay. Do you have more of this exercise?
I don't know if no, I didn't do this one. I only got to this one.
Thanks,
And actually, I spent a lot of time. That's why I didn't get to the next levels. I spent a lot of time trying to figure out how to make, instead of this, waiting for X to be an input, for X to be a hotkey, so that this input could be anywhere in the game before, because I had previous inputs and previous statements. So if they wanted to quit even before, they could press X. So I wanted to make it a hotkey, but I think I'm not yet. I don't have good enough knowledge to do that. I just did a lot of research on that, but it didn't work. So
okay, so I'm not even sure what a hotkey would mean here. Right?
They would be able to press X anytime without that having to be an input. Right.
So, but it's I mean, in this game, there's no like idle time, or there's no time when the computer doesn't wait for you for some input, or it's like always it's waiting for you some input. I mean, the microseconds that it's doing this computation between the steps between, we don't recognize. So I think in such a game, the only way to solve this that you wanted is that for every input state, so the user just input. So every input statement, check if it's X, or if it's something, then leave the game.
Right. Okay.
In a GUI-like environment, where you have all kind of things, then it probably makes, so then I understand even the word. I mean, I think the hotkey is used mostly for GUIs, not for this environment. And actually something, when you mentioned hotkey, at first I thought that you would like it to work without pressing enter. Because now
that was the other thing that I wanted this for.
Okay, so that's a whole different story. In this game, probably it's going to be really, really difficult to do because you can have both because you can have both, right, long inputs, like a couple of numbers you enter, or your name you enter, and you would like also want to have something that just by a single letter it will automatically know that it needs to do something. And it can't, and you can't really react to the letter X, because what if your name starts with an X? I know in Hungarian there's not many of these names, but in some languages you can have names we start an X, and then those people will feel that they are not welcome in the game.
Yeah, discriminated against.
But having that kind of, but other applications might be interesting, where you can actually have the single key press without enter. And I don't think that I ever did anything like that in Python. There are functions that can do this, that can notice that there was a single letter enter and then start running it. But it's not something that I even teach. So we can look at it later on if that's interesting. I can try to figure out a solution for that. But that's really actually rarely a case, especially in these text-like environments. Okay, so that's it. Let me just go over my slides just to see if so I've switched screen sharing. I hope that I'm sharing the right screen. So this was my solution, and so here you can see I don't put a variable name, but on the other hand I don't never check if it's in the limit. So nothing special here. I think nothing very especially different. I think maybe that I actually convert user input to some other variable, so I won't have to call int every place. It's just duplication. So that's one thing. This is the X. So here, and many people encounter the issue of X and X not being a number. And then the trick, basically, what you also found out is to put it at the beginning. So if the user pressed X, so now still, I mean, you went one step ahead and you actually checked if the input is any number. So in my case, if the user presses Y, then it's not an X, so it's okay. And then I try to convert it into int and it will blow up. So you made it more user-friendly, basically. And then I could go over the rest of the slides, but I think I'll just leave it for you to have the exercises. And maybe once you do it, we can get back to this. So I think there was another exercise, right?
No, because we didn't do the. Oh yeah, the unique character one. Yeah,
unique
sure.
character code.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me let you share the screen.
All right. Yes, I think it's this one, right? Can you see it now?
Yes.
Right. So with this one, I only had one problem, that I was trying to solve it in a way that this variable would not have to be a string. I was trying to like count so that at the end I wouldn't have to print the length of this, but just print out the variable itself. But that didn't really work because I couldn't check what characters I already put in there. So I ended up just using this.
Yeah, you have to store somewhere the
characters
you've already seen, and yeah, this looks great. Yeah. Again, here also the else part that it's not on the same line, right. And then the shorter version of this addition that you could do. So it's plus equal if you prefer that one, and even probably I would say I would swap the order. So I would say if ch not in chars, then do this operation.
Right. Okay.
And then I don't have the else. Don't need the else part.
All right. So if not, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So that's shorter. Sometimes I have problem with this negated conditions, reading them. Sometimes it's a little bit more difficult than reading the straightforward ones. But on the other hand, we don't need to write the else part in this case. So it's sort of a trade-off of the
few lines.
Yeah. Okay, great. And then you print out the lengths. Okay, so let's show again the one that I had here. Any other comments, by the way, here? So no.
Not in this one. Actually, I had a question about the other ones, but let's get back to that when you show.
Okay, so I'll let me show this one, and then so here, this is basically the same thing that you had. Okay, exactly.
Yeah.
And I had another one, which is way shorter, but we haven't learned it yet.
Right.
So there is a tool, a data type in Python, which is called a set. It's like a mathematical set. So either a thing is inside or not. Mm-hmm. There's no duplication in it. So if whatever you put twice the letter X inside, it doesn't matter. It only has the letter X inside. That's the only thing that it knows. And then you can have all kind of these operations, set operations on them, which we'll see later on. But for now, what I did, I just called set on the string. It returned a set data structure of the individual characters, meaning that if I had the same character twice, I only have it once in the set.
Right.
Because it doesn't care about.
That's clever.
Yeah. And then I just ask how many are in there. So it also has the length function. Okay.
Right.
Again, we didn't learn this yet, so we haven't learned that the set function data structure yet. So obviously you couldn't you couldn't solve it based on that that thing. But part of the reason I'm showing it, because I think some of the students came up with this. Probably in one of my courses, probably someone who actually already learned all this stuff and then just came to refresh their memory. But these kind of things can be theoretically found. if you think that, okay, let's try to think of some better way to do something. And does it have this? And obviously these kind of questions probably come with some experience. Though you already had a couple of questions that I didn't know the answer yet. So that's, it also comes with lack of experience, these questions. Okay, so you wanted to ask something else?
Yeah, in some previous solutions that we had, I encountered this, that instead of two equal signs to say that something is equal to false or true, from the language, I was thinking aloud, right? And I typed in is instead of the two equal signs, and it still worked. But then I realized it, and I was like, okay, so apparently this is an operator as well. But I didn't know the difference between the two, or if they can be used, or what would be the drawback of using either or the other.
Yeah, so we talked about it a little bit before the video. So I had to look it up and actually find it, the exact answer. So the thing was that you said something like this. So let's say.
I can't see that now.
Oh, sorry, you can't. You can't see my screen right now.
I can see your screen, but not whatever you're typing.
Sorry, which screen am I sharing?
You were sharing the browser?
Yeah, okay, strange. Wait, okay, maybe it was sharing just the browser, sorry, and not the whole screen.
Right.
Okay, can you see it now?
Yes, yes.
Okay, sorry. Okay, so I started, okay, so just to make it clear again, exit, starting from scratch, and just typing in Python on my command line so I can get into the interactive shell and play with this. I create a variable just called x and having number 1 in it. And then I would like to know if 1 is equal to 1, and it will print out true because they are equal. And I think you had something like this. So the question is, why is 1 equal to true as well? And you had this, sorry, not 1, x.
X, yes.
X. I have to do it with x. X equal to true. And this looks strange. And then there is the x is true, actually gives us the value false. So why is, if we compare x to the value true, why is that true? And if we are using the is operator, which is different, then it's false. And in your case, you said that in both cases, the is operator actually worked.
Yes.
And the question was, what's the difference between the is operator and the equal operator? So the equal checks the two values sort of in a logical way. So because if I ask about if I write something like this, if x, then print hi. Okay, and now I'm using the one-liner because it's easier to type here in the interactive shell. So this says hi because x is considered to be true, because every number which is not 0 is considered to be true. And this is what this comparison checks, whether whatever is considered in a Boolean way, whether it's true because the other side is a Boolean. And in this case, they are both considered to be true. But if I actually check using the is operator, so is operator checks if the actually underlying objects are the same as well, not only the content, and not only the logical content of them. And because this is a number and this is a Boolean, or bool, okay, that's why they are not exactly the same. So that's why this returns false. So in some cases where you really want to check whether the thing that you got, so if this variable, if now I have a variable and it has true in it, then if I can type in y is true, and hopefully it will say that it is true. Unlike here when I said x is true and it was false.
Right.
So because it's not just the value is the same, but it's also the same object type.
Right.
Maybe I don't even know, maybe it's even between integers and floats would be something like this. So the number 0, so let's say x is now the number 0 and the y is the number 0.0, and then check if they are the same. So they are the same, and I'm not sure in this one, but this is false, right?
Right, because they're different types.
Yeah. So this is the interesting part here, or not. But eventually, I rarely encounter this. So it's almost all. I mean, I rarely need to use is. I'm almost all the time I'm using equal, because that's the most of the time that's the right question. I mean, in numbers, it's rare that you actually want to think that 0 and 0.0 are different, right?
Yeah.
You probably think them as the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so any more questions about the exercises?
No, I think that's all. This became pretty long anyway from all
Yeah, so I think what we
mistakes.
should do now is to stop the video now, have a little break, and then we continue with the next chapter in the next video.
Right.
Okay, so we can have a little break. So thank you very much for watching this, and thank you for participating. And I think there were a couple of really excellent things that we had to look at and we had to fix. And then now I can stop the recording. So bye-bye.
See ya.